Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Cory. I love to flip furniture, and if that is something that you like to see, or if you just like a good before and after, then consider hitting the subscribe button down below to see more. Today I'm going to be answering all of your most asked questions, as well as announcing something very exciting that I think you guys will be happy to hear, as well as explaining where I was for those 2 weeks that I did not upload. First, to get into why I had a huge break for about 2 weeks on YouTube where I wasn't coming on. We had a lot of things going on within my family and extended family. This year we had 2 big losses for people that are very big parts of our family, and so there has been a lot of grieving going on with that. And then we also have another family member that has really needed our help in getting the care that she needs. So once we were grieving those things, we had to move directly into helping and coming together for that family member, and that did take quite a bit of my time, and it just was more important to be there for my family during those times. And then I also went on vacation, and we went to Northern California, which was really fun. I loved the redwoods growing up. I lived there for a short time in my life, and I wanted to take my kids there to experience, so we did that. And then we got sick with a summer cold recently, which made all of us very tired. And if you have kids, you know that when they're sick and you are sick, you don't get time off. So you still have to take care of the kids, and I was just too exhausted to get on YouTube during those times. So that explains my little absence there. And then most recently, it has been difficult for me to get any projects done because I am expecting my 4th child. So surprise! That is going to be causing some changes on my channel as far as how quickly I put out videos. It's going to be based on how I feel. I have actually worked through every single pregnancy of mine. I've had a job and worked full-time through every single time I've been pregnant, which has been 3 previous times, and now this one. I want to slow down because my last pregnancy I went into early labor and ended up having to be in bed rest. And the whole experience was not that fun, and I don't want to do that this time. And this time my job is more physically demanding, but I get to choose when I work and the pace that I work. And I know that you guys will be patient with me on getting videos out when I'm feeling too tired. Yesterday I took 2 naps, and I am not a napper, so that just shows you how tired I've been lately. But now I want to answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking. I will be sure to be quick so that I'm not rambling on forever. The first question that I'm going to answer, I got this question a whole bunch on a video, the video that I did, the spray paint, enamel paint on that entire dining set. So a lot of people ask me, do you have to seal it? The answer is no. So enamel paints are extremely durable. When they cure, sometimes it takes a few days to cure, sometimes it takes a whole month to cure. It just depends on your climate. And once you let that cure, it is like rock solid. You do not need to put anything on top of it, and if you did, it would probably make that new finish less durable than that enamel underneath. So no top coat on there. The only top coat I would ever recommend on something like that would be to use spray shellac, and that's because that's literally the only thing that I can think of that has a harder finish than enamel. Next question I got was, do people give me a hard time about being a YouTuber? So do my family and friends support me, or do I get like a lot of slack for it? The answer is, I have never had any problems with people that I know personally telling me anything negative about me doing YouTube. I do have a whole lot of people in my family that support me and watch these videos, and I am so thankful for them. And the people that don't watch, that's okay. Maybe I'm doing something that they're not interested in. If they were making videos about something I was not interested in, I probably wouldn't watch it. It's just to be expected. I don't expect any of my friends or family to watch, but I do appreciate it when they do. The next thing is more of a request than a question. I've had a lot of people ask me to do videos of me donating it to the people that I donate my pieces to, and unfortunately for privacy reasons I can't do that. It would be so fun to do that, and it would be like watching a TV show or something, you know, where you get to see the pieces go over there and how their space looks and how it I decorated their space with my pieces, but it doesn't usually work out like that, and they really, really want their privacy, so that is impossible, unfortunately. How do you fix a table that gets stains easily after you've painted it? So for instance, if you have a white table and you clear coat it, but it still keeps getting stains really easily, or you can't clean it very easily, I would recommend going with a glossy clear coat over it, so that way it's easier to wipe down and clean. The more matte clear coats are going to be the ones that leave scuffs and stains and dark spots, because their texture doesn't repel those things. So when you're using, or when you're refinishing something that is going to be used a whole lot, like a dining table top, or maybe the top of a kid's dresser, go with a shinier clear coat. And honestly, like I said, the most durable clear coat that I know of is shellac. So if you want to spray shellac on top of there, it'll be so easy to keep clean after that. The next one is kind of a fun one. I got the question of if I've ever wanted to like go back and redo a piece now that I've like got more experience. Like I look back on a piece and I wish I could have redone it something totally different. So there are tons of pieces that I feel that way about. And that's one thing about growth, is that you can look back on where you started and see how much you've grown, which also shows you how ugly some of the pieces you've done in the past were. And that's totally okay. I feel like I wouldn't want to go redo them necessarily, because that was all an experience for me and I learned from everything. So as much as I cringe watching those old videos, it just shows me how far I've come. And I've had a lot of you comment recently, especially on that Victorian style dresser that I did, saying how far I've come and how much better my projects are now, and I couldn't agree more. So yes, there are pieces that I think I would never do like that ever again. Many of them, I can't just name one, but in the long run, that's all just part of the process. Next question, how do you know when to use a primer on a piece? It's kind of something you learn with experience, and it's hard to explain. It's something you will see and kind of know, but mahogany pieces tend to bleed a lot. It's something to do with the way the wood stain is in those pieces. But if you have a piece that is mahogany and you have nicked the finish on it somehow, like sanded it, or there were scratches in the piece, or anything that has broken down that clear coat on the piece, is going to allow that bleeding to come up through that spot. So when you are priming, you can either prime the entire piece and just not worry about any spots coming through, or you can prime the specific spots that you know are going to bleed because you see that there are abrasions on the surface, or you sanded it down a lot, or whatever it may be. What I usually do is I will paint the piece first and then see where it bleeds through. So I'll paint it one day and then allow it to sit overnight to the next day and see where that bleeding came through on a piece, especially if it's not mahogany and you don't know where it's going to bleed, because sometimes pieces don't bleed and you don't need primer, but sometimes pieces will surprise you and they are bleeders. But I just prime those areas, which I don't even use primer, I actually just use spray shellac, but I will spray shellac only the areas that need it. So that saves me money and time, because I'm not coating an entire piece in a product. I'm only coating the areas that need it. My chickens are talking, sorry. Okay, and then within that same question, you guys asked, how do you know which type of paint to use? So do you use acrylic, latex, etc.? I used to use latex paint a lot. Latex paint tends to not stick very well, and it tends to peel whenever something rubs against it, or just regular wear and tear, it tends to peel the paint up. Chalk paint is personally my favorite to use because it has that gritty. Somebody laid an egg, so they're just trying to let us know that. I'll just keep talking through the egg song. But chalk paint tends to stick to almost all surfaces. Dixie Belle has a product called Slick Stick that you can use on the most slick surfaces, for surfaces that are even hard for chalk paint to stick to. And I just feel like the best bet to go with is to just use chalk paint. There are different kinds of chalk-based paints that you can use that are more or less chalky, so you don't always have to have that chalky textury finish when you do that. You can also add certain ingredients to latex paint to make it like a chalk paint, and that would be something that you can look up on YouTube. There are videos for how to turn other paints into chalk paint. It's actually really cheap to do if you want to try that. And then acrylic paints, I usually use them sparingly, and I use them only for like decorative parts. And you can also turn or mix acrylic paint with a chalk paint or turn it into a chalk paint because it's water-based. And what else? Oh, enamel paints. So I love enamel paints, and I will continue to use enamel paints forever. They're extremely durable, so when you go to choose a finish that you need to be super durable, like on a dining table, dining chairs, or tops of surfaces of things that are going to get lots of wear and tear, I personally recommend enamel. Enamel sticks really well too, and once it's cured, it's rock solid. I can't explain to you why. I don't know the chemistry behind it, but it's such a durable finish. Next question is, where do I get furniture? Where's a good place to look for furniture to fix up? So my main way of getting furniture is on Facebook Marketplace, which I look for things that are free. There are also groups on Facebook that are like neighborhood groups that you can request to be in, that are in your neighborhood, of course, and people will sometimes be giving away things on those groups. And another place to look is if your area has a bulk trash pickup schedule for your city, then you can look on the city's website and find the schedule for which neighborhoods have bulk trash pickups at what time. I do not know the laws about picking up trash from people's curbs, so I'm not recommending you do anything illegal, but that is one way that I have gotten good projects, was just by finding it on the curb. Sometimes I'm just driving and there will be something on the curb that says free. And another place to look for good projects is near retirement communities. So in our area, there are different neighborhoods that have different types of people living in them. So you have like young families, retired people, or young single people. You got to kind of know your different neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods that have people who are retiring tend to be people who are downsizing. So they tend to donate their items to their area's local thrift stores. And just from my experience, those thrift stores tend to be cheaper as well than areas in other neighborhoods in the city. So that is a good place to look as well. I also recommend yard sales. Yard sales tend to be cheaper than thrift stores. Next question is how to remove wood stain from a piece of furniture, the easiest way. There are a few ways that I can recommend to you. One is with using paint stripper. I do not like citrus strip, and I do not recommend it. I don't know if that's just because of my climate, or if it's just not that strong of a product because it's natural. I don't know. I've heard some people say that it works great for them, but for me personally, I did not like it. I don't recommend it. But the hardcore paint strippers that come in the metal tins, those ones tend to work better. The gel ones usually work better than the liquid ones. The next product that I would recommend, which is lacquer thinner for removing wood stain in particularly. So a lot of old pieces are covered in lacquer, and to get that lacquer off, you're going to use a product that is specifically for thinning lacquer, which means it can remove lacquer. And it is a liquid, and you would use a wire brush or I think it's 40000 grain of steel wool, which you can get from Amazon. I will link that in my Amazon store below. You can get all these products from your local hardware store as well. So if you don't want to shop on Amazon, you can shop there as well. But those are my recommendations for removing wood stain. Wood stain is harder to remove than paint, so paint stripper does not work as well as lacquer thinner. So I would definitely recommend lacquer thinner over paint stripper if it's for a wood stain. And you can also use something called a soda blaster if you have a very large air compressor over 20 gallons or more. But you have to refill that little gun over and over and over again with baking soda, and it also tends to sort of pit the wood a little bit, like break down the wood grain to where it becomes very grainy looking. So just keep that in mind. You wouldn't want to do that over any kind of precious finishes. The next question is, how do you work in a difficult climate? So you have to adapt and overcome. My climate is dry and hot. Right now I'm dripping sweat, and it's not even that hot out. But when you have a super dry climate, your paint will dry insanely fast. So if you're spraying in the sun and it's like 100 degrees or more, your paint, when the particles of paint are spraying in the air, that like new aerosol paint will dry before it hits your piece. So then it creates this terrible sandpapery feeling that you have to sand for a while, and it's very difficult to smooth that type of mess up. So I don't recommend spraying if it's over 100 degrees if you live in a dry area. If you live in a very humid area, it's difficult in the opposite way in that your paint tends to drip. So for that type of climate, I would recommend, if you're spraying, to not add a whole lot of water to your paint. Oh, I guess they just really wanted to be a part of this video. Another thing that you can do if you are spraying paint in a hot, dry climate is to do it in complete shade. That actually makes a huge difference, and you don't normally get that icky sandpapery feeling when you spray. The next solution to working in a really hot climate is to work indoors, and for this I would recommend using products that have no VOCs so that you don't stink up your house and you don't have to wear a mask and a respirator and all this stuff. You can paint with paints that don't stink indoors, and that way it's more safe to be breathing it without all that ventilation. And be painting with a synthetic brush, because those are much less likely to leave brush strokes. A good brand that you can use is the Zebra brand brushes. Those are great. They sell them on Amazon, they sell them at Home Depot, or you can buy it from their website. I'm not sponsored, they're good brushes. And Home Depot actually sells their brand of brushes that are synthetic that are really great too. They're very comparable to Zebra brand brushes. They just have less shapes to choose from than Zebra does. So I also would recommend using an angled brush. Personally, for me, that is my favorite type of brush to use, especially when you're trying to create really neat lines without taping, or if there's a lot of corners or little details that you have to get the paint into. Another thing that you can do to help get that brush strokeless finish is to use a sponge to do the clear coat, and I have done that blue circle Dixie Belle sponge for clear coat in several of my videos. My most recent one was in that Victorian dresser one. If you wanted to watch that, I can link it right here for you. It makes it to where it's like a flawless, smooth finish, and it is as if you sprayed it. It's like a choir over there right now. They are singing. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this point in the video, I just wanted to give you an extra thanks for supporting my channel. Your views help me to support my family as well as to support those in my community who are in need. So I just want you to know how special it is that you take your time out of your day to watch my content, especially all the way to the end. I'm so excited to show you my future projects, and I'll see you next time. Bye!